I'm Cynthia James, and this network is about changing lives one woman at a time.
Hello and welcome to Women Awakening. I'm your host, Cynthia James, and I get the distinct honor of introducing you to fabulous women. And when I say fabulous, they're way showers, they're game changers. There are women who have come into their own. They have found their inner purpose and are revealing it on the planet in extraordinary ways. And the reason I wanted to introduce them to you is because I wanted you to know that they're not exceptions. They're examples, and they show us the field of possibilities of who we can be and how we can become the best that we were meant to be on this planet. So I'm grateful that you're here. I do these every week. We're on all the platforms: Spotify, iTunes, iHeart, Spreaker, Amazon, video on YouTube. Look for Cynthia James, Women Awakening with Cynthia James. Subscribe, share the videos, come back every week. Guarantee you, something in every interview will inspire you to move and take a step into your future. So you can also go to cynthiajames.net. There's a lot of gifts and things there for you, and talks about how I can support you. So my guest today is Becky Robbins. She's had a variety in her career choices that have included medicine, business of creation, development of personal growth, and now it is in the business of creating art. And her life choices that have contributed, come from her love of nature, both above and below the sea, of worldwide indigenous cultures, science, music, theater, and the exploration of the psychology and the spirituality of humans and creatures. Her art became the focus of her life after leaving the personal development business and having a curiosity for all things that have profound depth and interconnectedness in tangible and ethereal ways. Her current projects include a show created for television called The Art of Art. And it's a cinematography experience, seeing individual creators in the process of their craft. And she is the host. Becky, welcome.
Oh my gosh. Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate you so much. It's mutual admiration society, I think.
Well, I'm so grateful that you're here. I want to start with how you were born. Where did you grow up? How did you grow up?
Oh my goodness. Denver, Colorado. I love to proclaim that I'm a Colorado girl, although I live in California. I love the ocean and I love the mountains, and that's my heritage. And I moved here, gosh, like 20 years ago or more than that, and I'm still here.
Yeah. And did you have a big family? Was it a big family?
No, I had one brother who's no longer alive. Sad, but true. And that's it. No, only a brother.
So when you were growing up, were you've got this, when I look at you, I was like right, left brain. It's like there's the scientist part of you and there's the art part of you. What did you go to school for? Did you go to school for something?
Oh my gosh. Well, let's see. The interesting answer to that is that when I was 11, my mom, like, I did a history of my life recently on my birthday. I decided to walk on the beach and take it by decade and go like 0 to 10, 10 to 20, 20 to 30. It was fascinating because 0 to 10, great. It makes everything was good. 11 to 20 was my mother left when I was 11. My mother left our family and went to Mexico and spent until I was 15. She didn't come back. She just went to go have a different life, and left me and my little brother and my dad, who was devastated. And so I became I think, and it still is the truth for me, and I think it's been a thread that's been woven through my life, is that I had to be the head of everything. I had to be the head of the household, make everything run. I took that on as my responsibility. So I have felt like a big responsibility my whole life. And back to the education part, I've always it's interesting, I think, how things come into your life, including my art. But the medicine thing, I'm so curious. I love learning, and I really love this human body is, oh my gosh. I have a thing called my document, and in my document, I say that I am devoted to the care of my temple, and I stand inside a living miracle. And that was what made medicine a must for me. But, and I became a nurse, but the part of caring for people, like in a hospital environment and all that, I should have been a research person, because I love anatomy and biology, and it shows up in my art. So really, that was my education. And then I left that, and I have 3 children. So I was a single mother a lot in my lifetime. So that's a job,
Yes, it
a good
is.
one, but one for sure. And then the personal development business happened. And
Yeah.
I only realized recently, like, what my skill levels were, because I hadn't had a business background, no business training. But I in my little walk on the beach and doing inventory, I realized that my strengths are, I think they're more than this, but because of that context, were systems and relationships. And I think that's
Yes.
true in almost every walk of life.
Yeah. Well, it's really interesting that you did that walk on the beach, because my last book, um, I looked at the decades of my life
Mhm.
and what was happening culturally and what it did for me and influenced me and what I learned. So I think it's a very powerful tool for anybody listening. Look at the decades of your life and see, wow. And I want to talk about, because you weren't just in personal development, you were at the top of the line in personal development. And married to a very visible person, and you were visible. So first of all, how did you manage um being so visible on such a large scale? Because people project onto you, they want from you, they're trying to get stuff from you. How did you manage that?
Hmm. Well, it was a gradual thing, because when we started, there was nothing, absolutely nothing, not even the coaching industry. And we were the beginning, and that was another one of my many responsibilities there. My responsibilities were everything except standing on the stage, which I also did in different, like with our trainers and stuff. But so it was kind of a gradual thing, like the visibility part. Um, I love that you asked me that question, because when I get messages every once in a while from people saying, like, you changed my life. Like, remember that time we met and you said something to me that just, and because there were so many people around, I think that when I'm looking back, I'm so glad you asked me this question, because I think it relates to me today, is that I, in order to manage all of that and people wanting to talk to me all the time, it came to me to the definition of namaste is like, the God in me sees the God in you. And whatever they were saying, I kind of wasn't hearing it, because it was kind of the same stuff or a different question, but it was just focusing for a second on those people. And then, and it was a lot. It was a lot, because it became a lot through time. But I feel like it was a big blessing for me. If I'm going to say what was the one thing that came from all of that, it was that. I would say
Yeah. Well, I had a chance. I think I told you when we were speaking earlier that I had a chance to hear you talk in one of your talks. And there were two things that stuck out to me, and I want to talk about both of them. The one was the document that you were working on about your life, which you just spoke of. But the other was a story you told about something that happened on the stage that, in retrospect, was dangerous. And
very.
and yes, and that at the end of it, when you came off, there was a revelation that you were disposable. And I wanted to talk about that, because so many women I know have had experiences where they've given up themselves, given up their power, done what the partner wanted, but it was not for their safety and well-being. So can we just talk about that a little bit?
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of emotional for me to talk about that, because the feeling so the story was, in a brief, that we did a big magic trick at the beginning of some of our big giant events when there were thousands of people coming. And we would, I mean, there were big magic tricks. They were brought in from Las Vegas and we were trained on it. This one specific event, which I would never do again because of the animal involved, but it was a tiger, like an actual huge tiger in a cage. And the magic trick was that Becky was going to jump in the cage, and then all of a sudden, and they would put a shroud over the top of the. I shouldn't call it a shroud. That's interesting that I called it that. Oh my goodness! I need to rewrite that. Anyway, and they put that over the top of the cage. So it was pitch black in there. Behind me was the tiger, and just there was a thin little wall, like a cardboard, like Amazon box that was like a fake wall, in back of me. And this tiger was animated because the lights, the fire, all the magic stuff and the laser and the huge loud music and people screaming. And so that tiger was bumping up against my back and breathing on this side of my neck. I can feel
Oh God.
and I mean, I know it was scary because I only had a tiny bit of time to reach down between my feet and open up a trap door that had a little ring on it. So a trap door and then another one. And I slid down into these movable stairs and then they wheeled me off the stage. But had I dropped that one ring, that was the mechanism that would drop the wall and backing me down, and the tiger would have been in the cage with me. So it was terrifying. And now I feel sorry for the tiger, because I would never do that to a creature again. And then I had to run from the whole back of the house, the whole convention center, and get to the back of the room and jump up on a platform. And then the lights would swivel around and, they'd whip off the thing. There'd be a tiger in the cage, and then there would be Becky at the back of the room, and everybody's clapping and all of that. And, I was telling Steve Hardison, who's a guy who I'd mentored with, an amazing, amazing soul. And that brings me to the document. And as I was working with him for a year and a half personally, I was sitting across from him, knee to knee, and I told him that story, and his eyes were this big. And at the end of the story, I said, so obviously Becky was disposable. And he said, wait a minute, what did you say? And Cynthia, I said that this is kind of emotional for me because I still have some of those feelings, not that I'm disposable, but because I've had to figure out like what are the things that have gotten in my way over the years, and feeling like I'm not capable of something. Am I capable for creating something great for myself? Because I'm really good at creating big things for other people. And people have come to me over the years saying, can you do for me what you did for him? Can you turn me into that? And a lot of times I've done not that exact thing, but I'm good at that. But then when it comes to us, we women, do we take a back seat to that? Or worse, do we feel like that we're not capable of doing something for ourselves anymore? And the idea that I could be disposable, I mean, I have children, like you have children. I mean, the idea if for my kids to think that I was disposed, that would not compute for them, because I'm such a necessity in their lives, and I have grandchildren, same thing, so it's crazy that I would even consider that thought, but it stayed with me for a long time.
Yeah,
And
well, I think it's so important because the enculturation of women is that we're to take care of other people, we're to listen to other people, we're to do all of this stuff and not go, maybe this isn't the wisest choice for me in this moment. So I want to know about this document because you walked away from that whole personal development world.
yeah,
And was it for your own expansion? Was it for your own health?
it was for my own well-being, for sure. Things were so rocky it was like, how you go through life and there's an obstacle, and finally it's the last obstacle.
Right.
And
Right.
sometimes that's like, then the next thing is your wonderful answer. For me, it was the last straw, and I couldn't stay another minute. It was just so destructive to me. And,
Right.
so thankfully I had a spiritual path before I met Tony. I'd gone to, I started out as a Lutheran, and then that was my expansion to go like science of mind and then like going into like a seminar that was similar to EST called Eris, and I had done all that. Thank you, God, because it was the one thing that helped me get through the rocky times and the rough times. And yeah, I had to get out. But then when I got out, I left with my clothes and my books. So that was a really hard time for me. I remember standing in front of, oh my gosh, you're gonna love this, Cynthia. I'd gone to Mile High Church a lot, and driven up there on Sunday mornings so that I could go and listen to Michael and just like, that was savor. Oh my gosh, I love that I'm sitting in front of you telling you this. I was in this little rental house. That's where I moved out, and in this little furnished rental house. And there was they had I don't know what their stereo system and all that. I had a cassette tape, and on the cassette tape was the song "Use Me." And I put that in. Oh, I have chills thinking about this. I put that tape in the deck, and I was standing there singing "Use Me." Take these hands, the lyrics, crying and just singing as loud as I could. And my son walked in the door with his girlfriend, and he probably thought, oh my gosh, my poor mother. Like, what do I do? How do I help her? And here's this girl that he just started dating. But that for me was salvation for me, that I had I had a spiritual path that I could rely on and lean on. And it was truly, it was like oxygen mask for me.
It's so beautiful. And, I had a similar experience with my ex-husband, and I was like devastated and couldn't get out of bed and couldn't believe everything that was happening. And this voice came in and it started singing to me, "Everything must change." And I'm going, "What?" And then it said, "Get up. You have always reinvented yourself. Get up." So I think for anybody listening, I think these experiences, even though they suck, they're they build you. They help you grow. Because I want to talk about your art, because your art is so incredible. I mean, did you know you were an artist?
Never wanted to be an artist. Never occurred
Wow.
to me. And I've only been doing art since I don't know, maybe a couple of years after the divorce, which took a very long time to get finished, all of that falderall. And I ran into a woman who had been an attorney of mine, and she'd retired, and she said she was doing this, and this, and art classes were one of them. So she said, "Come with me to an art class." And I did. And it was like the beginning, like, here's how you draw a straight line. I can teach people how to draw a straight line, by the way. And here's how you draw a circle, and here's how, all of that. But what I'd always done was collected, which I think relates to the show that I'm creating. I collected like big coffee table books of various artists. I just loved their art. But moreover, I loved reading the fine print about how did they do that? What's their process? How do they even do that? And that became the genesis of my art. Just like, and I I've been doing it for a long time now, like 15 years or something, but I've not been trained either as an artist. I went to a couple local classes like that. But I want to tell you something that occurred to me that my daughter just now, because my daughter is an actor, and she was taking an improv class, and the instructor said, "You have to dare to suck, and this is the perfect place to do it." Right. And so I've used that in my show and interviewing creators, because anything, first of all, everything we're wearing, driving, looking at, everything around us has been created out of something. And as Abraham says, nothing's been trucked in from another planet for us. It's all right here. But then you've got to, if you're going to do anything, if you're going to play the guitar, and you're going to do whatever you're going to do. I say guitar because they're hanging on my wall downstairs, and I haven't dared to suck long enough to get good at it. But I have with my art. So I've got 100,000 hours or something into my art. So I can now call myself an artist.
Well, every time I see something of yours, I'm so intrigued. It's like my curiosity gets sparked. It's like, well, what does that mean, and why that color? And I mean, it's exquisite. I mean, my artistry comes through my music, and Dare to Suck, yeah, because I'm like, I think I'll do this now. It's like, and probably hope somebody doesn't hate it. I mean, so so this show that you're doing, The Art of Art,
Hmm.
how did that come about? Did you want to do television?
Nope, same thing as art, same thing with medicine. It's the way that show actually came. Good question is because there's a wonderful guy in India, a British guy that he and I talk frequently, and he said, Becky, I want you to answer these two questions, but I want you to take a couple of days and let it simmer before you come up with an answer. What do you desire? And what are your passions? He said they're different answers. So I did what he said, and I'm now learning to follow directions when it's important. Kind of. And so I let that sit, and in a meditation, like I love heart math. I do heart
Me
math.
too.
That's my favorite meditation. And this wonderful lady that walked me through some of the basics of it, because I've been through the Dispenza course a couple times, and I know the heart math people up in Boulder Creek, and so, but I now have a gadget, that like you clip the
Yeah.
earrings right here
Mhm.
and use my phone. And I love doing heart math. And she said, this is what she said that made me keep doing it. And it's like my non-negotiable morning meditation thing. And it's like my hot tip of the day. And she said, once you do it for like 15, 20 minutes, you can, and turn it off, you can drop into the deepest meditation. And that sounded amazing to me because getting there is hard sometimes,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
I was in one of those meditation states and it came to me. Here's how it came. Remember inside the actor studio with James Lipton, do that with creators. Like, what?
Wow.
So that's how it came. So the show is about that. And I mentioned Steve Hardison earlier. Like I was telling him this idea, hoping he would say that's a great idea. And he said, may I borrow your journal for a minute? So he took my journal and he wrote in it, The Art of Art. And that's how the name came. So I feel like it can't fail because it's coming from pure divine source and I trust that. So my show is about, like I mentioned earlier, like we use things and do things. We don't realize what it takes to create things. So my focus is the reason I'm doing it is because I think nothing's more amazing than curiosity and figuring. I mean, there are other things more amazing than that, but curiosity for me is like indwelling. And I always want to know, like, how does that tree right there? I looked up like photosynthesis one time, which is another way I do my art. And then I'll research something and think, is there an image that could represent that? Well, there's not, because photosynthesis is this moving thing going on and everything. But I want to know how people like figure out, like the cobbler who makes the shoes that Elton John will only wear on stage. Like, what's that cobbler's process? Do we even know how our shoes are made? Like I was talking to a sculptor the other day who's a spectacular sculptor. People came to him in the beginning of the Star Wars creation saying like, hey, we want these creatures created for a bar scene. Remember that bar scene?
Yes, exactly.
Yeah. And he said, so they wanted me to create something. So he created Yoda and Jabba the Hutt, and he's got all of these in the background. And so they're doing a documentary on him. His name is Mario Chiodo. And he said that he was doing a monument of Thich Nhat Hanh, and he had 3 days with him while he was sculpting that. And he was told, like, do you even know what the soles of your shoes, where they came from? Like, do we even think about that? Like he said everything came from dirt and water and, and so I want to get into the soul of these creators to see, like, not only do they know, like, how did that all get there, but like, how do you keep going the dare to suck part when it's like, it's rough, it's hard being a creator because you said right brain, left brain. Cause then once you get something created, now you've got to get it out into the world. And how do you do that? It's hard for me to market my art because it's a whole different thing. And then people sometimes think things are a luxury and not a necessity in their lives. For me, art is a necessity in my life
Right.
now that I know it and love it and honor what goes into the creating of it all. So that's the show, and I'm really excited about it.
I'm very excited about it. And I got to tell you, when I was doing research for my book, the creatives were the biggest change makers in every decade.
Wow.
They were the ones who changed music. They changed art. They changed design. They changed clothes. They they push the envelope. And so to put the spotlight on creators, I think is fabulous.
Thank
Well,
you.
I want to know, how do people find you? How do they find you and your art and your television show? How do they find you?
You know, I need a new social media manager. I'm not big at doing that all. I'm just like living life and not thinking too much about that. But my website is beckyrobbins.com. Easy. That's my art website. Um, I have a YouTube channel that just, like I said, I need to work on all of that. And but you can find various videos I've done there, and or email me at, which is beckyrobbins1 @gmail.
Beautiful. Well, this show is called Women Awakening, and I ask the same last question of every guest. What do you think is the most important thing about women awakening on the planet in this moment?
Wow, back to the tiger story, is remembering how important we are. We give life to the planet. We know that, but men don't remember that, for by and large, I'll say. We are powerful beyond measure. It's that Goethe quote. We are so powerful. And when we finally get that, like, I don't go around saying to myself I'm powerful every day, but I do. My document is another. Also, I can share my document if somebody wants it by emailing me.
Yeah.
But that really is how I stay in alignment, is remembering who I am and what I came onto the planet with. And, I've got a couple of really powerful astrologers that I meet with twice a year, beginning of the year and my birthday, which is in July. So it's like good timing. And I know what I came in with. I'm striving to live into what I came in with. And we do. Like and it's also an imperative right now. I mean, we keep hearing, like, I was born for this. Well, I wasn't born for all this nonsense, but I do know that I'm equipped.
Yes.
And I think having people in my life like you, Cynthia, and amazing people, surrounding ourselves, with people like that, because we can't do that 24 hours a day. We are out into the world, and you said way showers, which I love that, because we are that, and who I'm being in truth, who I know myself to be in truth, is the whole universe. Who I know what I am in truth is, I know I'm a chunk off the divine block, that. And I know how I serve in truth. And that's me, who I'm being all the time. Who am I being when I'm at the grocery store this morning? Who am I being? And it matters. It matters.
Well, thank you so much. I couldn't agree more. I'm so honored to know you. I'm so grateful that you came on the show, and I'm a fan, and so please keep me posted. I want a copy of that document, because when I heard you reading it on that stage, I was like, oh. So everybody heard her. If you email her, she'll send you a copy of her document. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you so much. Safe travels, my friend.
Thank you so much. Okay, ladies, I'm ending this show the same way I always do. Different words. This is a reminder that you are precious. This is a reminder that you are a treasure. This is a reminder that you are a powerful gem, a spark of the divine, and your presence on this planet is essential. Otherwise, you would not be here. So step out, activate your creative spirit, and become the best that you could possibly be. Many blessings to you. I love you, and I'll see you next time.